waiting on bended knee. Your name ignites this heart of mine, but you are my lover to find. You are to find. Te quiero, si tú no estás aquí, me extraño, me engaño, para aguantar otro día más, te añoro, te espero, miles de millas, desgástame, amor, vuelve amor. Tienes mi ser, tú tienes mi vida, tú tienes mi alma, amor mío, vuelve, te quiero, me pierdo, si tú no estás aquí, me extraño, me engaño, para aguantar otro día más, te añoro, te espero, miles de millas, desgástame, amor, te quiero, me pierdo, si tú no estás aquí, me extraño, me engaño, para aguantar otro día más, te añoro, te espero, miles de millas, desgástame, amor, vuelve amor, vuelve amor, vuelve amor. Tú no estás aquí, vuelve amor, tú no estás aquí, vuelve amor, tú no estás aquí, vuelve amor.
All right. Thank you, Gina. This is great. Thank you. It was a wonderful mouth trumpet right there near the end. I was not expecting mouth trumpet completely, and it's great. You sound amazing. Can you? So that was a fan favorite, and we're going to hear some from La Que Manda, which came out during the pandemic. Came out like a month and a half ago, maybe not even that much.
Yeah.
Can we talk a little bit about the way that your songs have evolved musically and specifically language-wise? So you're mixing English language, Spanish language, but I know that La Que Manda is the first all Spanish language album. Can you talk about how your songwriting has evolved and what about the current offerings made Spanish the right way to communicate everything that you're saying on this new EP?
Sure, yeah. So, for me, the short story is like I'm half Mexican, half Swiss German, born and raised in Texas and Austin. And like I didn't grow up speaking Spanish. I didn't grow up with that part of my heritage, but I've always been really attracted to the Latina side of my roots and my family. I've just always felt very connected to that. And so, I've traveled abroad a lot. I went to do a study abroad in Argentina and kind of became fascinated with some of the folkloric rhythms there. And basically just like randomly wrote a song in Spanish in like 10 minutes on my very first album. And that song, I think, opened a lot of doors for me because I would play all these songs in English and play this one song in Brujo in Spanish, at coffee shops when like no one's listening to you. And so, anyway, I think people loved that song. It was weird to me that I would sing to mostly English language audiences and people would be like, hey, do you have some more of that like flamenco stuff? And I was like, well, it's not flamenco, but and so people liked it. I liked it. And so I just kind of dove more and more into that. And so this is really, La Que Manda was really meant to be a full length album, but then the pandemic hit. And so instead of holding it and waiting until we could finish recording it, I was like, you know what, let's just put out an EP. I've had some of these songs for a couple years, and then La Que Manda, the title track, I actually recorded in quarantine. And it's actually probably all of the songs on the record I'm really proud of, but that one is like dope. I love it.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
so
that was
like,
my introduction to it too. Louis shared that with me. It was immediately like, dude, this is amazing. Let's immediately do a session as soon as we can.
yeah, so it's just been a lot of fun, and I feel like it's part of our country, it's part of our heritage. It's that this is a country of immigrants. I would not be here if people had not crossed rivers and come across borders. I would not have been born in Texas, and I think that's the story for so many people. And as I've traveled and sung songs in English and Spanish all over the world, but also all over our country, I've had so many people come up to me and be like, "Oh my gosh, I have the same experience. Like I didn't grow up with the roots that my family has gifted to me. I didn't grow up with that because, our country has in a lot of ways squashed those things." And so, but I love that it's like they tried to bury us, but we were seeds, and so it's like grows anyway. And I do
Yeah,
feel like,
potentially not even despite, but because of you have maybe more motivated to find that and let that seed grow and let that side come out and be exposed to the sunlight.
yeah. And I think singing in Spanish for me too, it feels like a different voice. I feel like I access some different part of myself. And I've had people tell me that too, that they're like, man, I don't know what it is, but like when you sing in Spanish, like I don't even know what you're saying, but it gets me or something. So, I just want to bring people along for the journey and help people dive into the depths of themselves, because I feel like we're so much more than we often allow ourselves to be. I'm a married lesbian Catholic, and I share that story from stage as well. And people are often like, "Er?"
Yeah,
and
not always the words you expect to go together in the same sentence.
right. But I think, we're multifaceted, and that's the beauty of humanity. So,
Yeah, indeed. Well, thank you for sharing yourself and your music with us today. And there's a lot more coming up. I definitely want to talk about what the production was like in the middle of the pandemic and all the people that you worked with. But can we dive into? Are you going to do one from La Quemanda next?
let's do it.
Nice. What's this song?
So this one is called Caigo. It's actually a song I wrote in Mexico. My bandmate was doing a residency there a few years ago, and so I've had this song for a while. This is probably the oldest song on La Quemanda, but was really excited to be able to bring this one to life. And this is a love song in Spanish, just about finding that special someone, and when you're not good, how life is not good. So caigo means I fall. And I actually, for those who want to know what I'm saying, if you go to my website, there's a little tab that says lyrics. And so I have all the lyrics with the English translations as well for these songs.
Nice.
Cuando no te tengo, pienso en ti. Amanezco enferma, no sentirte aquí, junto a mi lado, cerca de mí, como el mar sin ver la luna caigo así, siento tu sonrisa en mi corazón, la cura para mi herida está en tu posición. A veces soy ciega y no te veo a ti, como el mar sin ver la luna caigo así. Una marea probar tus labios, me sumerjo en ti. Una sequía cuando te escondes, sin saber el fin, yo caigo así. Floto despistada sobre un mar de añil. La soledad me envuelve, el sol no quiere salir. Tú me haces falta, ¿qué te puedo decir? Como una brújula sin rumbo caigo así. Una marea probar tus labios, me esconder. Contigo soy la mejor versión que puedo ser. Se transformaré. Hay que buscarte otra vez. Una marea probar tus labios, me sumerjo en ti. Una sequía cuando te escondes sin saber el fin. Una marea probar tus labios, me sumerjo en ti. Una sequía cuando te escondes sin saber el frío, caigo así.
All right. Thank you, Gina. Nice. Is there an audience right now on your side as well, or is it just me? Do you have?
My wife is in the other room, but it's really hot in my studio. So she's like, I'm not going to sit in there with you.
Yeah. Is she able to bring the fan in just momentarily while we're
is
chatting?
Listening.
Okay.
Oh, it's
good,
fine.
good.
I don't mind being hot. But
Nice. Well, I'm enjoying it very much. This is exactly what I want my Tuesday afternoon to look like. So thank you for doing it. And so the group of people that you worked with, the team was comprised. I mean, there's recognizable names. There's a group of people who have done a lot of world-class work, including Tom Russo, Fernando Lodero. Adrian Casado was the one that caught my eye immediately because he put out one of it probably is my favorite album of 2019 with Black Pumas, which is amazing, and Linda Briseno as well. Can you talk a bit about two questions? Talk about what it was like and what each of those individuals brought to the table, but also what that was like trying to put it all together in the middle of the world melting down.
Right. Well, fortunately, most of it happened before the world melted down, so that's really great. But so. The 3 songs that Tom Russo came in on were actually songs that I recorded a little bit before, and they just needed that extra special touch. And I randomly got introduced to him through some friends here in Austin, and went out to LA to see some friends and stopped in to just meet him. And he ended up being super cool. And I kind of played him these tracks, and I was like, hey, like, I've got these songs. Can I get your professional opinion? And then lo and behold, a few months later, we were like, well, let's work together. So he really took those to the next level. And so they're the last 3 songs on the 5-song album. And so there's Quita la Cadena, Caigo, which I just played, and then Bien Amada. And those are like, they sound so incredible because of Tom's work. And he was great to kind of step in, and take those to the next level. So that's awesome. And then I reached out to Linda Briseño and Fernando Lodero. They're both Venezolanos living in New York. And I had met Linda through something with the Grammys and had kind of like looked up to her and been like, oh, it'd be super cool to work with her. She was the first woman to win Producer of the Year in the Latin Grammys in 2018, which is really sad that it took till 2018 for a woman to win, but very cool that she was the first and very deserving. And so anyway, so she was kind of on my list. And so I reached out to her, of course, in that way of just like, oh my God, what if she says no? What if she hates me? And anyway, she was very gracious and invited me to come out to New York. And so I went out there for about a week, and she put me up and introduced me some great musicians, and brought Fernando in to mix and co-produce, and they were great to work with. And it's honestly probably the coolest track I've ever recorded. And we have a music video coming out for that track. It's called Ella. And I've got a music video that we actually shot in quarantine using dancers from across the world in dancing in their own spaces to kind of speak to survivors of domestic abuse. Because right now it's just completely on the rise because people are stuck in their places and, stuck at home. And a lot of people's homes are not safe environments. And so it really just weighed on my heart. And I thought, how can we say something about this and kind of bring love and light to survivors, but also bring people, a message of hope, and also know that it's a problem that's out there and what can we do about it. And so anyway, so we got dancers from across the world, mostly who I found on Instagram, and just reached out to them. And so that video is coming out hopefully in the next couple weeks, sometime in July. So.
Cool. Well,
And
good
then
for you. I mean,
sorry, and
that's exciting.
then Adrian Casada.
Yeah.
So I wanted to finish off the record since we were like, well, let's do this. So I was like, I want a title track. I want it to be called La Quemanda, you know, and it's going to be this tribal beat awesomeness. And so anyway, so I reached out to Adrian because I was like, I need somebody in Austin that I can just, you know, do this quickly with. I've always wanted to work with Adrian as my producer. We've done some other projects together and he was amazing. And so we had to postpone it a little bit because of the stay-at-home orders and everything. And then finally, once things started to kind of lift, he was like, you know what? Just come over. I've got kind of everything social distanced out and like, you know,
Nice.
come over, we'll disinfect everything and
UV
so
lights
we
on
did it.
everything, spray down every surface. Yeah.
Yeah, so and man, that was amazing I actually co-produced it with him and so it was super fun. I love that track.
Nice. Well, I do too. Thank you so much again for sharing it with us and sharing some of the stories behind them all. And there's still quite a bit more music coming up. Can you tell us what's happening third today?
Sure, I'm gonna do yeah. So I wish I could play the
Great.
backing track with it, but I'll play the Gina solo version and hopefully it will be cool enough. This is probably the most powerful and poignant song on the record. Really about, you know, women coming into our power and yeah, I'll just let the music speak for itself.
All right.
Give me one sec. Woo. Sus manos están atadas, su voz no puede más, no sabe a dónde ir ni qué hacer. Su cuerpo no para de bailar al ritmo de esta realidad, no sabe a dónde ir ni qué hacer. Le quitaron las ganas de hablar, al silencio tratan de comprar, a la fuerza ellos quieren callar, en contra de esto y más, nunca se rindió, nunca se rindió. La verdad, hemos tenido el poder, siempre supimos a dónde ir y qué hacer. Le quitaron las ganas de hablar, el silencio tratan de comprar, a la fuerza ellos quieren callar, en contra de esto y más, nunca se rindió, nunca se rindió, nunca se rindió, nunca se rindió. En la calle corremos peligro, en la casa nos matan también, y si armamos valor para decirlo, hasta la iglesia se cae también. Pero no tenemos tiempo que perder. Fueron muchas las que lucharon ayer, por las que están y las que vendrán. No nos rendimos, ella persistió. No nos rendimos, nunca se rindió. No nos rendimos, ella persistió. No nos rendimos, nunca se rindió. Oh, ella persistió.
Yes. Thanks, Gina.
Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah, this is great, and we are. I'd like to know more about. I've read it on your website, and I'll drop a little banner here on screen so people can get involved if they want to. Can you tell us more about the Niñas Arriba College Fund? It is helps young women in El Salvador to be able to actually continue their education through college. Can you tell us about what prompted you to start that, how people can get involved, and yes, tell us more about it.
Sure. Yeah. Thanks for asking. So my wife and I, we went and did mission work before we got married. We went and did mission work in El Salvador. We lived with nuns. We worked with girls in an all-girls school, and we were just really moved by the experience. And so, instead of just leaving when our time was up, my wife was like, "What if we did something? Like, what if we could?" Find a way to continue being involved and continue helping. And so she said, what if we start a college fund? And so we polled the young women that we were teaching. And anyway, long story short, we started this college fund. Had no idea what we were doing, still kind of don't. But essentially we came back to Austin and we're like, well, we can throw benefit concerts. And so that's been the main way that we've raised money, but I also talk about it everywhere I tour. And so we're constantly accepting donations. They go towards funding 100% of a private Catholic education in El Salvador. You can meet our students on the website at niñasarriba.org, or you can go to ginachavez.com, and there's a little tab that says College Fund if that's easier. But honestly, it's really cool. Like 100% of our donations go to these young women, and they go to the school, and the school operates it as like a scholarship through the school. And so we're not sending money to these young women, we're sending it to the school, and it's covers everything from room and board to mentorship to books, classes, transportation. It's really, really amazing. And the best part is that it really just allows us to be a champion for young women who just needed someone to be able to provide a door. Like, they're doing the hard work. I did not expect this, but we have a 100% graduation rate.
Wow.
And that's something we didn't go in expecting, right? Because sometimes people can't finish college, but they actually have. And so we have 4 graduates. We also have a paid internship program. So they get, they have an opportunity to actually build skills once they've finished college, and we pay for them to have an internship. And then we have 2 new students and have started another cohort of young women. So it's really exciting. And I think the cool thing is that, studies have shown that when you educate women in developing nations, you actually uplift entire communities.
That makes sense.
So, it's really cool to do this work and still be connected to El Salvador, which is a place that's really close to our hearts.
Yeah, it's amazing. This is the coolest thing that I've heard certainly this week, perhaps in longer. I really appreciate that you're doing it. We're very happy to use this platform to amplify the work that you're doing and the work that those girls are doing as well. So thanks for doing it. And if you at home on the internet can donate money to it, please do. If you can donate your time to it and become more aware of what's happening, please do that. Thank you very much.
Super cool.
Yeah. So there's more music. What is Gina, what are you going to play next today?
All right. So I've basically, this will be a song off another record. So I've played songs off of my latest 3 records, La Que Manda, Uprooted, and this one is from Lightbeam. This song is called Let It Out, and it's a dance song. So we're going to close it out on a high note.
All right.
All right, y'all ready? Interwebs. What kind of good is money when famine comes round? Stop on a million voices, these walls gon' get loud. Let it out, get down. Luna here to serenade style. Golden days with you, I ain't quite what you see. Under a concrete cover, beautiful queen. Let it out, get down. Let freedom find you running in the rain. Been around the world, I've seen your eyes. come on, get down. Come on, let it out, get down. Dance. Come on, let it out. Come on, get down. Come on, let it out, get down. Dance. Drown a different sound with a silver melody. Soon you'll be shining bright like a jewel of the east. Let it out, get down. Give your down heart some room to breathe. Been round the world, I've seen your eyes, your heavy heart beat just like mine. These colors weigh on you and me. There ain't no stopping us when there's a beat. Don't just want the light into you, ain't got a thing to prove. Let it out, get down. Dance. Now tell me I know what to do. Shake the devil off your shoes. Let it out, get down. Dance. Come on, let it out. Come on, get down. Come on, let it out, get down. Dance. Come on, let it out. Come on, get down. Come on, let it out, get down. Dance. Say whoa. Oh, your turn. Come on. Na 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 na. Come on. Say whoa. Na 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 na. Somos el programa, suena canción. Para que siga toda Mérida, 1, 2, 3, 4 días. Santiago hasta Samarcand, Villa de Rama, fin búsqueda. Guatemala, Morelia, Buenos Aires, we gon' see ya. Come on, let's dance. Don't you sweat the light or two. You ain't got nothing to prove. Let it out, get down. Dance. Let them run know what to do. Shake the devil off your shoes. Let it out, get down. Scream, dance. Come on, let it out. Come on, get down. Come on, let it out, get down. Scream, dance. Come on, let it out. Come on, get down. Come on, let it out, get down. Dance. Woo! Let it out, get down. Let it out. Dance. Let it out, get down. Let it out.
Yeah. This is great. Gina, thank you so much for doing this. This is awesome. Happy Tuesday to you. We
Happy
appreciate it
Tuesday.
very much. La Que Manda is the EP that's out right now. You've got, not me, I've got AC/DC merch. You've got La Que Manda merch on right now, which is
Just
available.
got these yesterday. Y'all go get some
GinaChavez.com and on Instagram at Gina Chavez. Your music is available everywhere that people consume music. There are compact discs. There is Spotify. There's all the places that you expect to find it. But please stay tuned at GinaChavez.com as new music comes out, and follow us as well. Play Too Much. We are actually, as New York City wakes up, we're next week going to host one from here, which is, I mean, it's delightful hosting on the internet. I've just had a wonderful time, but there's no replacement for human connection. And as New York slowly wakes up, that's becoming safe now. So hopefully we all figure out how to do that safely as the world wakes up. And Gina, this has just been a total pleasure. Thank you so much for doing that.
Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it. Y'all, big love to you. Be safe.
Right. See ya. Bye.